Hey, welcome. Have you ever just stopped and wondered why customers do the things they do? Sometimes it makes perfect sense, and other times, not so much. Today, we're going to look at how a real scientific approach, not just a bunch of guesswork, can help us finally understand and even guide customer behavior for the better. So here's our game plan. We'll start with what I like to call the customer puzzle, why people can seem so illogical. Then, we'll get into the science behind our choices, introduce this really cool concept called a nudge, and then wrap it all up with how to build a much smarter strategy. All right, let's dive right in. The first piece of this puzzle is a question that honestly keeps a lot of businesses up at night. Why don't people, especially our customers, always act in a logical, predictable way? I mean, think about it. You've probably seen it yourself. A customer ignores a fantastic deal that would clearly save them money, or they fill up an entire shopping cart online only to bail out right at the very last second. It feels totally random, right? But these things happen constantly, and if you don't get the why behind them, it can be really frustrating. And here's the thing, this is where so many traditional strategies get it wrong. They're built on this old, flawed idea that customers are basically walking calculators. That they'll always just weigh the pros and cons and pick the absolute best option for themselves. But we're not calculators, we're human. So if that old model is busted, what do we replace it with? Well, this is where a really fascinating field of science comes into play, and it helps us see what's actually going on inside our brains when we make a decision. And that field is behavioral economics. It's this awesome blend of psychology and economics that gives us a much more realistic picture of how people make choices. And it all starts by accepting one simple truth. We're not just irrational, we are predictably irrational. There are patterns to our madness. And this is what's so powerful. Look at the difference here. Traditional economics assumes this perfect world of logical people. But behavioral economics, it studies us, real humans. It knows that our choices are massively influenced by our emotions, by our friends, by all these little mental shortcuts we take. This is the key that unlocks the whole customer puzzle. Okay, so understanding why we're weird is one thing, but how can we actually use that information? Well, that brings us to one of the most practical and powerful tools to come out of behavioral economics. I just love this quote because it gets to the heart of the idea so perfectly. We're not talking about forcing people to do anything. We're not taking away their choices. It's all about making it just a little bit easier for them to make a choice that's better for them. So a nudge is really any little change in how choices are presented that can influence our behavior in a predictable way, but without taking away any options. For example, making the healthy salad the default choice on a menu instead of fries. People can still order the fries, but you're just gently nudging them toward the healthier path. It's simple, but it's incredibly effective. Okay, so we've got the theory down, we've got the tool. Now for the fun part, let's bring it all together and see how you can use this to build a way more effective strategy for customer care. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just a thought experiment. The whole point is to apply these insights to build a customer care strategy that actually works with our human nature, not against it. One that's truly excellent because it's built around people. And this lays out the roadmap perfectly. Step 1, really watch and understand those seemingly weird behaviors. Step 2, brainstorm where a tiny, gentle nudge could make a difference. Step 3, put it into practice and guide people to a better result. And finally, step 4, weave this way of thinking into everything you do. So what's the big takeaway here? Well, when you stop trying to fight human nature and start designing for it, everything gets better. You create experiences that are smoother and just feel more natural. And that directly leads to happier customers, builds real loyalty, and honestly creates a company that is truly focused on the people it serves. So I'll leave you with this final thought. You don't need to reinvent the wheel to get started. Just think about it. Based on what you already know about your customers, what's one tiny simple nudge you could introduce that might make their lives just a little bit easier tomorrow? You'd be amazed how the smallest changes can have the biggest impact.